Alright, you guys, it's been quite some time since I've made the last video. I feel that the timing is right to make another one. It's long overdue anyway. So, I'm wearing this shirt. It's pretty cool. Got sloths on it. I've never seen it before in the US. The reason why I'm wearing this is because I went to Colombia and Costa Rica over the summer, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Essentially, this is a video to basically recollect a lot of the things that have happened in the last 5 years for me, actually six. Um, so when I had known my best friend for about 5 or 6 years, we met up at a coffee shop when I was about 20 or 21. I'm 26 now, almost 27. But we met up at a coffee shop. I think I was 20, and I said, "Hey, since you've known me for 5 years, you know all the jobs I've had, you know what I'm capable of. You'd probably be the best person to ask. How much do you think that I should have saved up by the time I turn 25?" And I was just curious to know what number he was going to throw out. He said he thought about it, took about 60 seconds. Then he gave me an answer and said, probably about $100,000. And I immediately, like, in my head was like, heck no, no way. That's not going to happen. That's not possible. And then instead of arguing, I pulled out a calculator from my phone, did the math to see how many months were left and how much I'd have to earn each month to be able to achieve that goal. And then I realized it's possible. But the only way for me to meet that goal, based on the money I was making at the time, would be to basically work non-stop for the next, 4 or 5 years. So because I realized it's possible, I was like, let me consider this. Let me think. Let me try this. So that was actually like right after I had started working at my first job when I moved up to Phoenix, Arizona. And so yeah, so I've had that job ever since. I've gotten 10 raises since around that time. So now I'm earning like, I'm not joking, double the money now. So it's way easier to get to that goal. But I actually worked so hard during the first 2 or 3 years doing what I was doing and working on, and I had 3 jobs, and I like basically never called off and picked up hundreds of shifts and just always worked as much as possible. And because of that, I actually hit the goal at 24 and a half. So I'm not going to reveal what I have now because some people would rob you for like $50, So, but what I will say is I worked for 10 years and I wanted a vacation. I'd worked way too much. So over this summer, I actually went to Colombia and Costa Rica for 3 weeks. So each year, my motto, this is going to be for the rest of my life, one of my favorite phrases, lines, whatever you want to call it, is that you should live the next year better than the last. Meaning, if you want more time with family, if you want a promotion at a job, if you want to own and start your own business, if you want to go on a vacation that you never go on, like anything to make next year better than this year. If you're not achieving some sort of goal that makes next year better than this year, in my opinion, you're doing something wrong. So that's how I live my life. And I decided to go on that 3-week vacation, first time ever outside the country. I learned a lot. I experienced a lot. I had a ton of fun. I want to go back. I got some more ideas on what life is like outside the U.S. that I've been living in my entire life. And now this video here is a representation of what I'm going to be doing going forward. Hopefully you can learn something from this. Now, this video is not investment advice. Do your own research, please, with anything I say going forward. I'm not a licensed professional and or broker, so I'm just a regular guy. But I will reveal some of my methods and some of my ideas and strategies that I have learned over the last 6 years trading in the markets and learning and watching YouTube videos nonstop from very, very intelligent, smart, 100+ millionaire people who really know what they're doing. So, okay, so my first trade, I already mentioned this in the previous video, so you would have already known about this had you watched it, but I'll speed up the little story about it. And Citigroup was my biggest trade I had ever made, put $4,000 inside this company back in 2022. I waited 2.5 years. The day Trump got elected, boom, it exploded, hit the price target that I was hoping for. I made 2,500-ish in profit off of the 4,000, so I got my 4,000 back, kept the 2,500 in Citigroup, left it in there, and I actually left it in there for another year. And about a year later, after Trump got, not a year later, but I want to say about 6 months later, over the summer, Citigroup actually hit the highest level it's been in 18 years, since 2007. So right now I'm up like 3,500 from that same investment, because I left that 2,500 that I made in profit inside the stock itself and never sold it. So then that I cheated. I used Warren Buffett and the public knowledge to help myself pick that company. And then I had some friends who gave me some really good ideas that made me increase the size of my bet. And I was less scared once I heard some interesting things about that company. So the success overall was much higher than the S&P 500 got for the 3 years straight. And I realized that Warren Buffett really knows what he's doing. He's not a stupid guy. And I wanted to learn how he trades and why he trades, not which companies he's picking and just copy. I want to learn, because he's 95, he's about to die. He's literally about to retire in December from Berkshire Hathaway. He's about done, but he's still currently making trades. And in the last 3 years, he's made a couple big ones. And I've learned a lot from this man. So now I can teach it. Now I can show others how to do it. But I've spent so much time. I went to school for accounting and spent so much thought on all of this that I don't want to reveal all of this for free. I'll probably give you about a third of what I know, or how to do it. So, but the other 2/3, like, we're gonna have to find some way for me to convince you that all that time that I took is worth something in return. So, but anyway, okay. So CVS was my first pick that I had ever made by myself. That was a massive trade. I put $2,800 in December of 2024, and that was when they were at a 12-year low. I actually made a video about that as well. And then 2 months later, maybe 2.5, 3, earlier this year in 2025, the stock exploded up 40% higher. I sold and I made at least 800. Now I'm getting dividends every single year for the rest of my life, because I'm leaving the 800 in, never going to touch that. Got all my money back, had a great time doing that. And I don't want to say I'm lucky, because I kind of thought I knew what I was doing, but I wasn't sure. But after it happened, and after I collected the profits, I realized, okay, I'm getting closer and closer and closer to figuring out how the markets work. But just because you did it once does not mean anything. So, I mean, technically it's twice, but I cheated, in my opinion, by using Warren Buffett to pick the first one. So I want to do this all by myself and see if I know what I'm doing. So my second pick was, I believe it was Kohl's and then Nike. This year, Kohl's and Nike. Nike hit like a 9-year low. Kohl's hit a 30-something year low back since 1996 or something crazy like that. So I used my accounting, did some digging, used everything I had learned, spent all those years learning from trading, and then used all of that to make some purchases. I put almost I think like 800-900 in Kohl's, so nothing crazy. I wasn't as confident in that company as I was in Nike, so I put in about 2,600 into Nike. And then it took I remember this vividly, it took about 3 months from the trade that I made in Nike. I think I bought it in like March or something like that. So when the day I came back on the plane from my 3-week trip from Costa Rica back into Arizona, into Phoenix, I was on the plane. My Wi-Fi had just connected back on my phone right as we were landing, and I'm checking the stock market immediately because it's early in the morning and the market had just opened, and boom, Nike skyrocketed like 20-something% just one day, because they hired the previous former CEO who did really well, and they ousted the one who sucked. So I made, I want to say, about 700 off of that. So nothing crazy, but the return and the percentage and the time that took me to get that return was what was astounding. So yeah, so The Kohl's took a bit longer. In fact, the Kohl's I just sold probably about a month ago. And right now, today is October 2025, and it's the 27th of October. So Halloween is literally in a couple days. So, but yeah, so this was back in like July that all this happened. No, June 28th. June 28th was the day that Nike skyrocketed. So, but Kohl's, I ended up making $175, which was still a good return, but I was a little bit more. I knew that company was the highest risk that I had made out of these bigger companies. So I kind of was just trying to get my money and make sure that I got to keep it. So I made 175 off the bat. Still have the 175 in Kohl's. Still have the 800 in Nike. Still have the 1,000 now in CVS because CVS continues to go up. Still have the 3,500 in Citigroup. So now that I'm starting to like collect a lot of these good companies and get all my money back, and like I'm doing this over and over and over and getting better, and this is getting easier for me. I chose to pick my next, because I need to find like another company. I'm not gonna let my money just sit there and just like do nothing and collect dust. So the next purchases that I made were Target and UPS and United Healthcare, and I made all three purchases, and this one totaled out to be about $15,000. So my goal was by the end of 2025 to be able to put $10,000 in one company. So I still have not achieved that yet, but at one point I did have $8,000 in United Health Group. So I'm getting really, really, really close to my goal. So but yeah, so I bought United Health Group when they crashed. They were at a 9-year low over the summer. And then Warren Buffett also bought like 5 million shares, which was not released to the public until August 14th of 2025. And when that day was announced that he had bought 5 million shares, everybody else across the US now wants the stock all of a sudden. So they should have probably done their own research or checked out my videos or kind of asked me like what I was looking at or whatever, but like because people don't think that I know anything and people don't care, and they'd rather spend their money on vacations, drinks, alcohol, Starbucks, Chipotle, just dumb stuff that you do not need, they miss out. So it's not my problem, not my fault, but I do kind of feel bad because like literally I put in the $8,000 in a United Healthcare, and within 40 days, 40, I made $2,200. So that means that company paid me $45 every single day, 45, 45, 45, 45 for 40 days straight. And I only sold half of my position because I believe it's still going to continue to go up. Today, actually, that I'm making this video was the day they announced earnings, and it went all the way up to $381 a share. If it hits $400 a share, I'm making over $3,000 off of this. In fact, I'm throwing one of my jobs that I work at, I'm throwing the whole team a party if it hits 400, and I told the whole team that like 3 separate times. So we're like literally $20 away from achieving that goal. Because what's a $50 party if you just made $3,000 by clicking some buttons and just waiting a few little months. But anyway, so now that United Healthcare is, I'm not gonna say overpriced, but it's not as undervalued as it was when I first bought it. So now I'm focusing more on UPS and Target. And what's funny is in the last month, Target's gone up about 10%. No, UPS has gone up 10, and I think Target's gone up about 13%. So it's now like triple what the S&P 500 has returned in the last month. So right now things are looking pretty good, and this is why I do put money in the S&P 500, but not anywhere near like what other people do, and I prefer to pick my own company. So now that I know what I'm doing, and now that I know that I'm picking similar companies to Warren Buffett, he also bought Lennar. It's a home builder, a cheaper one. He also bought Dr. Horton. I also bought them at the same time, but he didn't have to reveal these trades until August 14th, and I have proof that I bought these back in like February, March, summertime, and I made some money too once it skyrocketed. But with that being said, I don't need him anymore. He's gonna die any day now. He could last another 4 or 5 years, who knows? But that was the goal. All of this time has been to try to figure out what he knows and why he makes the trades that he makes. It's the reason that I wanted to know. And I figured that all out on my own, but it did take me a long, long, long time. So, tomorrow is actually going to be massive for the U.S. It's going to be another rate cut by the Federal Reserve by about 25 basis points. And when that happens, I'm not going to reveal how much I have, but I do have a pretty good amount of money saved in my high yield savings account. And it's about 2.5 years of paychecks saved up, just sashing away. I'm probably going to yank out like 75% of it tomorrow because there's no point in getting a 3.5% yield when like the inflation's at about 3. So then you're only getting 0.5%. You're really getting nothing. So I'd rather shoot for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even more if I actually have figured out what Warren Buffett knows. But I don't know which companies I'm going to pick. Right now, if I had to pick one, it would probably be I'd probably say UPS right now, but it did skyrocket today with really, really, really good news. So, yeah, I'm going to be paying attention the next couple days, see what happens. There's more companies' earnings tomorrow. For example, like Apple and Starbucks both release their earnings tomorrow, and so do so many other companies. So, but right now I'm also taking a look at Deckers. They make Hoka. Their shoes are way better than most of Nike's shoes, and they do some other stuff too. So, but Deckers is what I'm looking at, and I'm also looking at it's like an alcohol company. It's called STZ on the market. I can't remember what it stands for, but very good alcohol company that I'm looking at as well. I'm not putting a ton of money in, but I am, at least taking a look at them and paying attention to their prices because they're the next companies that looks like interesting place to me. Yeah. So, but anyway, right now, I'm living it up. I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of fun. It's taken a lot of time, but now I'm here. And honestly, next year I plan on taking 2 vacations. The year after that, 3 vacations. So I already have like $7,000 of sick time and vacation time saved up at my job anyway. So all of this is literally going to get paid for. So, but with that being said, I'll let my sloth shirt say goodnight to everybody. I don't want to make this video too long. If you have any questions or have any feedback for me, please leave that in the comments below. Also, please like and subscribe if you do like my video. I'll see you guys soon. I'm gonna try to make videos a little bit more often, so I've just gotten really busy. And then the other thing I'll say is I've been hunting for this book. I even went looking for this book in Costa Rica, and this is Benjamin Graham's book. There's different versions of it, so I don't even know which version I have. I think it's the 3rd or 4th version of it, but Warren Buffett was taught by Benjamin Graham, and Warren Buffett, I think, co-authored the book, or at least had a little bit to say that helped get this book finished. So I'm only on page 40. It's taken me, I've had this for 6 months now, and I'm going really slow at it just because I'm so busy. But I will finish this, and so far, the stuff that I have been reading, I haven't learned very much because I literally have figured out all of this. So now that I'm reading it, I'm I already do this when I trade. So I'm not saying I won't learn anything because I still have another 280 pages to read, but it is interesting. So anyhow, you guys have a great night. Thank you very much. And yeah, happy Halloween. Spooky.